So I started watching this royal family, royal food, and I found out that most of these foods, which they say are symbolic of power, are actually rituals, food rituals that they make. And so this fruitcake, like Christmas, they made for the royal family, it has something called treacle in it, which is black sugar, like molasses.
Mitch was awarded an MBE for services to the catering industry.
The recipe I'm going to show you this afternoon is exactly the same as the cake that I made for a larger celebration cake for Her Majesty the Queen. But today we're going to make it as an afternoon tea cake. For me, afternoon tea wouldn't be afternoon tea without a traditional rich fruit cake. I'm starting with melted butter and sugar, and I'm going to add a big tablespoon of treacle. People often ask me, do I feel under pressure having baked for members of the royal family? And having the opportunity to celebrate cakes with members of the royal family has been wonderful.
So what exactly is treacle? Well, let's take a look. Oh, let's see. Lyle's black treacle. And what is that image? Oh, it's a dead lion, like Samson and the lion that he ate honey out of. Out of the strong came forth sweetness. Wow.
Prince Charles, for his birthday, we painted his coat of arms on the side of the cake, and we wrote in English and in Welsh, happy birthday, Prince of Wales. And for Her Majesty the Queen, I've made a number of cakes, but particularly a most memorable and received my MBE. I do wear it with pride, and the main benefits are that my children and my grandchildren can be married and christened in St. Paul's Cathedral, which is pretty lovely.
So it looks like sucking up to the king and queen and getting an MBE allows your children to be married and christened in St. Paul's Cathedral, like getting close to the ones that are controlling society instead of actually accepting Christ, and the perks and benefits that come with that of conspiracy against going against God. And what's interesting is the Lord told me, literally physically spoke to me, making a mountain out of a molehill is a war that will never be won. God sees this wicked generation as a molehill which will be leveled and overthrown, referring to towers of Babylon and the computer processing Babylon, computer towers of Babylon, where they're processing all the different languages in the world. What's interesting is they call molasses like mole asses. They used to call a donkey an ass, which was a donkey, but then they turned it into a bad word, and so mole, like a creature, plus an ass is mole asses, and so the enemy is the tail and not the head, so the enemy calls an ass a butt, and mole asses is like mole buttholes, okay? So they're literally calling the Lord a butthole. And molasses is black, and the enemy symbolizes black as being evil and white as being good. But the truth is, molasses and white porcelain are perfectly fine as long as you're being righteous and doing things for the Lord and not making it a demonic ritual. And so it's interesting to have this brand of molasses called Brer Rabbit, unsulfured, like Alice in Wonderland. And then they have blackstrap molasses, like, plantation, like, Christ, his wounds on his back, his being whipped, and slavery. So plantation blackstrap molasses. And a lot of the African Americans who were turned into slaves, they couldn't afford, regular things, so they, were using molasses and stuff like that. And, it's all a ritual against the Lord. Let's see what other rituals they have cooking up.
A lot of people say it's nothing to do with German royal families or anything like that. It's an old English recipe that used to be called church window cake, right, because of those squares.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see.
Pays your money, takes your choice.
Absolutely. Now, you see I've brushed a bit more jam.
Yep.
And by the way, what is that thing that they wrap those squares in? It's called marzipan. And marzipan is like Peter Pan, like, Disney, and Peter Pan, it's like a fallen angel flying around, which is a symbol for Satan. And so the church windows mocks God because this is a checkerboard pattern, which is Freemason. And marzipan is powdered almonds. Almonds represents Aaron's staff. And what do you see the Pope walking around with? A staff with a cross with has the arms that are bent. And if you take the cross and you break the arms, it makes a witch's symbol of the peace symbol, which is a representative of the witch's broom. So that's what they do in satanic rituals. They break off the arms of the cross, and it forms what looks like an upside-down peace sign. And so they turn that upside down, actually, and you have this peace symbol. Christ is the Prince of Peace, and so they're mocking Christ on the cross. And so the almonds mock Aaron, the Aaron staff, which is an almond branch, which is in the Ark of the Covenant, and they cover it with this marzipan, which is mixed with powdered sugar, and it literally represents the devil, which is a covering cherub.
Fork. For you?
Yep.
Is that lovely apricot jam running through?
Yeah, look at it. I'm trying to do this with my little finger raised.
Ah, I'll join you. Listen.
There we go. Oh, wow.
And why are they holding their pinkies out? Well, that's because the Nephilim giants, they were born with extra pinkies and toes. So literally, the monarchy, they hold out their pinkies as a symbol of having an extra pinky or toe, as in the rulers, the dark principalities of rulers in high places under Satan. And so they also have something called ladies' fingers, or literally eclairs. So they make a small eclair, and they fill it with cream, and they cover it with chocolate, which represents the lady's fingers, like Nephilim giant fingers, extra pinkies and toes. And the chocolate is a symbol of the enemy, which means brown, like already eaten food that is digested and excreted, which is literally feces. So brown equals feces to the enemy. White equals semen. And the finger represents like the middle finger, like FU, and they call the F word a symbol or a term for having sex, okay? So literally the little finger is the pinky, the Nephilim giants, extra pinkies and toes, and when you have the middle finger out to the forearm, that literally is a cubit, which is a measurement from the tip of the middle finger to the forearm to the elbow, which ancients used to use as a measurement instead of like feet, instead of like metric. And so they're mocking Christ's feet, like Nebuchadnezzar's feet mixed with iron and clay, and Christ is the potter, and he says humans are made out of clay. So they want to mix electronics with clay. Okay, so this eclair is covered with chocolate, filled with semen, and then they eat it, which represents people having intercourse in the butthole, okay, which is anal sex, okay? So it's a literally symbol for a penis with semen in it, covered in feces. And so it's literally a demonic ritual, and that's what the enemy thinks of it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Warm chocolate, cold cream, and that lovely choux paste exterior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Let's have another go.
How good are they?
They're not bad, actually.
They're all right.
And so the Queen's mutton pie, literally, mutton is an aged sheep. And so it's an aged lamb. And so literally, mutton represents eating Christ, but unrighteously. And so you have lamb and mutton. And mutt plus ton, mutt equals a dog that is a multitude of different genetics, and then a ton equals 2000, like the year 2000, the wicked and adulterous generation, and the century that we're in. And this is why the royalty makes pure breed dogs just to lord over people. Look at those Queen's corgis with their little crowns. And that's the reason why they put leashes on dogs. They're calling people dogs, like white and blue collar workers. A lot of people don't know that crown literally is corona. So corona is crown, like their demonic crown virus, and Abaddon, the last trump, and Revelation 19, the fallen angel from the bottomless pit with his stinging locusts that they poked people in their arms with. Like their corona beers, which are called cervezas, and kings and queens and nobles are called sirs, and like cervezas, and a vase is like a vase made out of clay, and Christ is the potter. And what do they want to mix the clay with? They want to mix the clay with iron, which is a technology, like Harry Potter and his demonic Mark of the Beast. And there's another person that has a dog for their mascot called Doge, which is Elon Musk. And what is Elon Musk involved in? Oh yeah, that's right. Elon Musk has Neuralink, which is literally putting something in the brain to either control things from the outside or to control it from the outside. They're going from currency to credits to crypto, from collar to dollar to Doge. Dollar bills are printed on cotton. What did the slaves work for? They worked for cotton. They want to digitize it like the demonic alien currencies like off of Disney's Stitch and that demonic alien oligarchy. What they want is a global AI governance. They're going to say they're going to get government out of the way, they're going to have everything automated, and then they'll give people a currency that's universal, and then everyone will like it because they're finally being provided for instead of them enslaving people to begin with, making the problem to begin with. And so I personally believe that Trump, the last Trump, might get one of the Elon Musk's Neuralinks, and Elon Musk made a AI called Colossus. And so I think that possibly the last Trump might get his Neuralink and then become a superhuman like savant, literally a cyborg, like the world's first cyborg. And then he'll have all the answers. He'll be affluent. He'll be, quote unquote, a savant. And then people will fall for it and think, oh, this is great because things are getting better for them. And who was the world's first cyborg? His name was Neil Harbison, like the harbinger of death. And Neil Armstrong with their space lie. Almost every single one that went into the moon was a Freemason. It was all staged. It had a green screen behind it. So Neil Harbison, a Catalan-raised British-Irish-American cyborg artist and activist for trans species rights, he is the best known for being the first person in the world with an antenna implanted in his skull so he could sense the different frequencies around him. This was a demonic ritual for the last Trump and Neuralink and the head wound that would cause people to become a cyborg and mixing iron with clay. One thing I saw is that the Reddit app changed their logo from having the robot with the antenna to having what looks like a hat or crown, which means corona, on the head. So the devil is planning to use Elon Musk to use his Neuralink to entrap people, just like the demonic anime called Naruto, using a quote-unquote genjutsu illusion to trap people in a demonic digital tree of life, which is actually death, like a samurai AI, like a demonic Shadow of the Colossus program, just like the Matrix. And their red hats equals hat red backwards, which means hatred, just like all the caps and hats that Trump has people wear, like on their forehead, just like the mark of the beast, Revelation 13:16.
And revisit the most extravagant times.
Pheasant, stag, turkey, salmon, oysters, and turbot dressed in a lobster champagne sauce.
Unbelievable!
This is Royal Recipes.